I'd now like to introduce you to Marla Cavers, who is going to talk to us about TAFE. Marla and her husband Stephen have 5 children, and Jared has a disability and is a fine young man by all accounts. 5 years out of school, he lives with his family, and he's currently a full-time TAFE student. So we're going to hear Marla's story and Jared's.
Hello, I'm Maria. Today I'd like to share with you my experience of beyond the school years. A little bit of background about me. I live in Melbourne. I'm married to Stephen and we have 5 children. As a family, we enjoy being involved in community-based activities, mostly centred around the children and their sport. I have a background in human resource management and finance. I work part-time for Defence. Stephen works full-time and is a high school teacher. Today my focus is my second child, Jared. I'll give a quick background to summarise our school experience, discuss after-school transition pathways, touch on our main goal of independence, what extracurricular activities he's been up to, mention Jared's sports and what the future might look like for Jazz. As introduction, Jared's a 23-year-old man with Down syndrome. With that, an intellectual disability. He has some health issues which cause fatigue and moderate hearing loss. In terms of daily functioning, Jared's speech therapist reports that he has language difficulties and articulation challenges that have a great impact on his capability to communicate with a wide range of people. His hearing loss impacts on the connected speech and makes him unintelligible, also impacting on the quality of his relations. As his mother described Jared as a friendly, adventuring spirit. He's caring, he loves sport, music, animals. He has some sensory issues and functions better in routine. He's very difficult at times and can be stubborn every day. As a young adult, he enjoys making choices and has some supported dependence. So Jared attended early intervention program, which included teacher physiotherapist, aimed at getting him school ready. That was from about 18 months of age till starting school. He attended the small local community-based childcare and later the local kinder whilst his parents worked. We noticed that Jared had development delays like independent toileting and speech, so early on we decided to delay Jared's commencement at primary school. So Jared commenced school at the age of 6 years and 4 months. We looked at what primary school options are available for Jared, special, public, school. What we decided in the end was for Jared to join his big sister at the very small Catholic primary school that she attended, and later his brothers joined as well. So the chosen school was very welcoming. It had a great location, however, was not resourced or experienced with disability. In the time that Jared was there, he formed some wonderful friendships with children his age, which are still strong today. In fact, 2 of his friends from primary school remain close contact, and they've taken Jared away at nights. And of course, Jared's reciprocated and invited them to see him on stage and attend his debut and special events throughout his life. Because of Jared's speech difficulty, we engaged our own private speech therapist from prep and right through the school years. Come the end of grade 3 in 2007, it broke my heart, but it was evident that things weren't working. So we switched Jared to the special school environment. So in 2008, Jared commenced at the local special school, and this is where he blossomed for the next 9 years. We didn't know, but what we did find out is that students leave special school in the year that they turn 18. So to ensure Jared had the full 13-year school experience, we found we had to advocate early so Jared didn't miss out on any schooling. In year 10, Jared participated in what they called the Pre-Cal Certificate of Applied Learning program. It's a hands-on option offering practical work-related experiences and learning and life skills. And this is a pathway that leads students onto the VCAL, Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning. So I remember when Jared did that program, him being involved in lots of garden activities and a first aid run via the Surf Lifesaving Club down at Port Melbourne, which the kids really, really enjoyed right throughout the year, summer and winter. And he did a woodwork program, and he brought home a most beautiful bedside table that he made, which was quite unbelievable. For years 11 and 12, Jared completed the school-based VCAL, the Certificate of Applied Learning program at the foundation level. He focused on applied and real-life learning. This pathway, students generally go on to T.A.F.E or an apprenticeship, or they get a job after completing Year 12. And at Jared School, it offered certificate level 2 courses, and you could choose from horticulture, mechanics, hospitality, or like a salon, retail, cosmetics. The VCAL program was designed so students can choose to study programs that suit their interest and learning needs. So Jared chose a mechanics and a hospitality stream because he didn't like the gardening. During year 11 and 12, the school offered Jared some travel training, slow and steady approach, which was great, one-on-one. Took him about 3 terms to build up his confidence and to get himself to and from school using public transport, a great accomplishment. Jared enjoyed school, graduating in 2016 at age 19 and 3 months, and he still enjoys school. He goes back weekly to attend a community basketball program, and he travels independently there, which gives him much pride. But I must say, in COVID, no, he's not allowed to travel independently, and a lot of the time that program hasn't been running. As parents, you often know sometimes we have to make things happen. So I made schoolies happen for Jared. I just didn't want him to miss out on that experience of celebrating the end of school. So a few months out from the end, I put a note out asking for interested children or students and parents that might want to join us in a schoolies experience. And it was quite lovely. We were lucky to get a booking for 3 families for 2 nights at the local special school, sports outdoor special school. And we had a day at Sovereign Hill. It was just right and a great celebration. And I do remember that one of them asking if they could do it again the next year. So that brings us up to 2021. After school pathways. So when Jared was at that 5 years ago, the options were day support program, a supported pathway, a supported workplace environment, further study, or a job, employment. So like Jared, if the students completed VCAL, they generally went on to further study and training at T.A.F.E, or they'd do an apprenticeship or get a job after completing Year 12. When I think back to Jared being in year 9, I didn't think he would be capable of doing a VCAL and the options that provided. So for Jared completing the pre-VCAL and the VCAL foundation course over the 3-year period, this was the beginning of his transition from school into adult life. I think that Jared's school did prepare the students really well for their transition particularly into the T.A.F.E, and that's what a lot of the students did in the year that Jared went. They provided weekly half-day visits to the T.A.F.E in the last year of the school, so students were familiar with the program, the staff and the facilities. Students got to feel for the other pathways as well, offering visits to the local registered day support organisations and supported network places. Joe really liked visiting these supported network places for a while as part of his VCAL course because they got paid for the work that they did. Of course, some of Jared's friends did different pathways. One of his friends, who was a lot more articulate, Jared chose the more supportive pathway. Attending a registered social service provider, and that offered him respite and was also a registered training organisation. So he was able to complete similar certificate level 1 courses to what Jared has at T.A.F.E. Another friend went with an employment option. So they worked for a not-for-profit support workplace part-time, straight out of school. I remember attending a few graduations for the school that Jared went to in the years leading up, and there was a bit of a mix. Some were offered full-time employment positions from the work experience they'd completed, and others went on to study. So in our experience, there's a mix of choices that the students make towards their pathway. School transition from special school to TAFE. So since leaving school, Jared's been studying full-time at Melbourne Polytech. Now, full-time can be up to 4 days. It could be 3 days or 2 days like he currently is. And particularly with Jared and his condition, they work. They study within the work education department. This group provide courses for people with intellectual disabilities to help them develop self-confidence and participation in the community. They get these young people like Jared ready for employment, personal management skills, teamwork, communication. They're not able to offer any extra support to the teacher in the classroom, so they're in classes of about 12 to 15 students. I can see that Jared has maintained good health since leaving school. So far he's successfully completed 2 certificate level 1 courses. One in transition education, is more about community development travelling, and there was some theatre studies in there. And the other course was work education, completed last year, and a lot of that online, where it was involved in work placement, resume writing, mock interviews. Currently, Jared is studying 2 days a week at Melbourne Polytech, literacy and numeracy, and those type of skills are everyday skills, like when you go shopping, weighing that, money management, and along the basis of living comfortably in the community. So in my opinion, I don't think Jared would have had the same pathways if he'd went to mainstream school. The information was available and the people were available to talk to for me as a parent to help make the decisions. Jared's transition seemed to be a natural progression, and it always seemed to be well above what my expectations were of Jared. So I did rely on the teachers and their assessment of Jared and whether he could do it or not. And being in the mainstream setting, in the special school setting, Jared was exposed to various different scenarios. So he got a taste of the different pathways, and I don't think that would have been possible had he been to a mainstream school. So a very positive experience that special schools provide transition into the workforce. Just some things that I thought about tips. I would suggest that there needs to be a discussion about what the plan is, the pathway plan for the student, not the year that they're leaving school, but 3 years out, and then again 2 years and 1 year before they leave school. Moving on, in the year that Jared left school, October 2016, we were very lucky to be transitioned to the NDIS, and as such, most of the first year out of Jared after leaving school was part of his NDIS plan, and that involved the school leaver program known as SLES, School Leaver Employment Support. There was a qualification test, which again astonishes me, Jared got through. He was found suitable, and so this SLES funding provided $40,000 throughout over 2 years for Jared to work one-on-one with an agency to get him ready for school, up to 20 hours a week. At the time, it was a new government-funded initiative. I can honestly say that it was a great concept, but I don't think the execution in regards to our experience was well done. It could have been better. So knowing what I know now about the program, I would advise that parents do their homework, because finding the agency was tricky. We thought we found an agency. We went for an interview. Jared had 3 short employment trials, but then rejected, considered not suitable for them to work with. I found out later that the employment agencies report on their success, and then they're ranked. So this agency was ranked at the top and liked to be able to pick and choose who they offered the support to. It took us a while to find another agency after we were rejected, and then for Jared to form a bond with the workers. And then 12 months, some of those workers left. And then 6 months to go, or the November of the second year out, the agency that we'd employed for the last 12 months decided they no longer were able to provide that service. So we were left with a period and a heap of funds that couldn't be used. So, not an overall positive experience. I must say, though, that they found some great employment for Jared. One of those was working in a restaurant called Lentil as Anything, which is a not-for-profit, which he really enjoyed. Working at St. Vinny's. Jared still has made some great friendships there, and the staff there were very supportive of Jared, and Jared still likes to go visit. Independence and maturity. So, like I mentioned, Jared's been able to be trained in catching public transport and is actually very good at that now. A quote meaning, "Not all who wander are lost." This is the case for Jared. We thought he was lost, but no, when he was little, he wasn't lost. He was out exploring. We've discovered the importance of with Jared assisting with chores around the house and having adequate sleep and a good sleep pattern so he doesn't fall asleep in class. Occasionally, if he's out, I get a phone call from him. "Mum, I'm at the supermarket. Do we need anything like butter or apples?" Which is a really great milestone. Jared's been very good at developing independent relationships with family, things like that extended family, like aunts and uncles. And of course, there's a favourite auntie list, and the aunties play that game and often want to be number one, favourite auntie. If you find nice friends, encourage those friendships either by a phone call or a text. That's what I found helps with Jared to develop an appropriate relationships. I can see now how Jared has matured and how he displays interest in wanting to have a job and earn money, which is quite exciting. Here's some of the extracurricular activities that Jared's been doing over the years. Riding for disabled has been fantastic and really great for me too. Jet's council-run art and music program. Dancing, which was fitness and social side of it. He recently learned to ride a bike, find that balance and ride a bike, and that was all pushed through by one of the carers. He's been involved in community sports, football, the fighter and basketball. He loves going to the footy, and there's a nice social network that Jared's developed in the last couple of months, although lockdown again's got in the way. And our summer best thing ever is Surf Life Saving Club, a Nippers program run for special needs young people, which Jared's involved in, and the friendships that have come out of that just for Jared and the family have been amazing. Some of Jared's supports, which I think are really important. NDIS has been a godsend. So with the NDIS, of course, we've been able to find some quality carers and work with setting the goals with them. It's about language. The carers we call coaches, and I recently, or the last couple of years, I've been holding annual planning meetings with all the carers so they know Jared's schedule and can work with each other on finding space to support Jared and what they're actually working with. Recently, our family also held a thank you lunch for the carers and the partners with their family attending, so they got to meet each other, and they've even swapped numbers, so they're like that safety net for Jared. Speech therapist has been so important right throughout Jared's life, and she came along to that carers lunch too, so she was able to meet with them. I've mentioned families, friendships and mentors. And some of the things that the carers have done for him have been great, like in lockdown, setting up a boot camp out in the backyard, learning to ride that bike and play golf, introducing him to new sports. They took him away on a sports weekend. He got involved about planning it, the cost, where they'd stay, what sports they'd play. And one of our next goals is going on a short Great Victorian Bike Ride. Other agencies such as Down Syndrome Victoria have been really good, and recently Jared attended a training course on leadership, and that's brought some of the programs there have brought some amazing social and opportunity networks. Melbourne Polytech, of course, has been super duper for Jared. We've watched him mature since he first started. From day one, he would rely on the support from those in the office. He'd just go in there for a chat. And they'd often ring him. They would ring him if he wasn't at school on time. And sometimes he wasn't at school because he was at home in bed. And of course, we've had to attend at Melbourne Polytech a few reprimand meetings because he's fallen asleep in school or left the excursion or left school early without permission. So what's the future hold for Jared? Well, we're hoping to work on his fitness and his health. In 2022, we're hoping that he will finish studying at Melbourne Polytechnic and NDIS. With NDIS funding, we're hoping to attend an Impact 21 employment program, which will work with teachers and speech therapists over 3 days through Torrens University to make him employment ready. I really don't think Jared's been employment ready probably up until now, but now I can see his maturity and hoping that comes about. Of course, we've got that long-term goal of living independently and all the steps to get there. And our wish is for Jared to follow his interest. And one of those interests has been his love of footy, and he's really got through his sister and her networks, he's really got a nice friendship and meeting group that he goes along to the footy with regularly and meets other groups of people at halftime for a chat. Jared's, here's a little thing of Jared. Yeah, so the footy theme of Melbourne Demons, he's considered the lucky charm because every game he's gone to, they've won this year. So he's a believer. Okay, well, that's all for me now. If anybody's got any questions, I'm ready to take them. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria, for a great presentation on Jared's journey with T.A.F.E. It was very interesting, and he has certainly an interesting and full life by the sounds of things, very busy. We don't happen to have any questions in chat. We always give it a few 30 seconds just to see if any last minute ones come through, but I can see Heather's not ready to jump in, so I'm not looking at both screens at the moment. But we do connect people up through SWAN, so if anyone would like to follow up with you, is that fine?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no
great.
problems. Thanks, Liz.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us today and for preparing a great presentation and delivery.
Thank you for having us. No problem.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.